Welcome back to Paranormal Perspective. I'm John Lordan, and joining me as always is...
Christy.
This is the show where we look into a paranormal or paranormal adjacent topic. Christy does all the research, and she's trying to pull me back from the brink of skepticism. Christy, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about different types of curses and some very well-known curses.
Interesting. So curses is the theme. Of course, we record this with a live audience. We put a question to them, and that helps determine who the winner of this episode is. Christy, what's the question for the audience?
So today the question is, do you believe that curses are magical or psychological?
Are curses... Okay, I'm going to put magical. Yeah, I guess I was going to say I could put a third option in there, but I like it. I like it how it is. All right.
Okay.
Psychological. I'll wait and drop that on the audience in the middle of your presentation. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Oh, hold on a second. Was that... Did you hear that?
They're here.
Okay. Let's get started.
It's gonna be tough to get through. Okay. So a curse comes into effect when someone wishes for some form of harm, adversity, or misfortune to befall another person, place, thing. You know, you can curse objects, you can curse animals, people, all kinds of stuff. So there's so many different ways that you can do this. You can do it by invoking a god or a goddess to help you. You can use magic in the form of a spell that's cast. You might even call on some natural force of nature to help you do that too. So regardless, no curse is good, but at least some can be removed with other spells. They can be broken. Not always, but they can.
Do you feel like you've ever been cursed?
Huh?
Have you ever gone through a period where you felt like you were dealing with a curse?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I tend.
How's
I
that
don't know if it's just...
How's that for a twist in this conversation? Yeah, I've definitely gone through periods where I felt like there was something else at me or something else attached to me in some way. Yeah.
Wow. Now, I have felt that something attached itself to me before, but I've never felt that it was because of a curse.
Okay.
I don't know if I just don't pay attention. I tend to be pretty lucky, and I try not to sweat the hard stuff any more than I have to. So, I'm feeling pretty lucky.
All right.
Now, every culture in the world has some way that they express their curses. If you look at voodoo, you've got jinxes and cursed objects, things like that. Then you start finding people who believe in the evil eye, and anybody can throw the evil eye on you. The only way to deflect it is to wear a charm that looks kind of like a human eye. It's usually, black on the outside, white, and then a black dot in the center for the pupil. But yeah, and I've also heard of it's like you can spit the curse at them and stuff. And I've also heard people can do a countersign and escape it. I don't know anything about that one, but yeah, the little bauble, that's cool. I like that.
Have you ever wished that you could drop a curse on someone? Because I know I have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever do it, but I have so been like, if anyone's listening and it's on your list.
Right. Please help me out. Yeah.
Help me out here. Yes, there are definitely people I would like to curse.
Yeah.
The Germans believed in hexes. And then you start hitting people like the Egyptians. Now, we all know the Egyptians had tons of curses at their burial sites. You hear about them all the time. And the most specific one that you hear about is the curse of Tutankhamun. Well, it said that anyone who entered the tomb and disturbed his artifacts would be cursed. And not long after the tomb got opened, they had a string of bad luck. And don't get me wrong, I know that these can be explained away scientifically. They totally can. It's just the grouping of all of this bad luck together is what makes you go,
Yeah.
So the archaeologist who opened the tomb is Howard Carter. And Howard Carter was backed by a benefactor named Lord Carnarvon. There is Mr. Carter right there.
Hold on a second. That's Craig T. Nelson.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yes. I like looking at these old pictures. You see all kinds there's times I'm like, did they just do that today and make it black and white? Because seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think we actually have a picture of him queued up too, don't we?
We do.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Put a mustache on him and a hat.
Yeah. All right. Prior life, apparently.
Hmm. He's one of those actors like Keanu who lives forever. Now, I think Lord Carnarvon was the first one to die from the supposed curse. Now, Carnarvon was not a young man, and he wasn't in good health when all of this happened. So it could have just been totally natural that it did. But then you start getting, there's all the other bad luck and things that accompanied the opening of the tomb that it's just odd. But anyway, they got some hella bad luck, or they interrupted a curse there and got banged with it.
Okay. All right.
So another one that has always really confused me is the Israelites and their curses. The Bible's full of curses, and for people who it has literally been written down, thou shalt not curse. They did a lot of cursing. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Japanese culture, they have a different way that they curse people. They have someone that they go to and pay to place the curse on you. And it's usually because you've broken something that's taboo in culture. Or I think if you take something from someone, they'll, like being a thief, they'll curse you for that too. But that one was interesting because you had to go to a practitioner for that. Whatever you do, don't steal objects from people. Stealing's bad, but they could be cursed. They could have a spirit in them, and it will haunt you forever until you get rid of it. So don't steal either. Sports fans are the worst. They have so many different rituals and beliefs to get through games and to win and everything else. It's just silly. Now, a very prolific curse site that was found were Roman curse tablets. Now, these tablets are found everywhere nowadays in excavations.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually the temple, the Roman temple at Bath,
Okay.
right there.
Yeah.
And it was a temple dedicated to the goddess Sulis Minerva, who, again, was one of those that they took their god and another god. When they excavated the concrete floor of the bathhouse, underneath it, they found 130 curse tablets, among other artifacts. And there's an example of one of them. They like to use lead or soft metals to write their curses on. And they would take them and fold them up and stick them in, a crack in your house or your sidewalk. They would put them in civic buildings and things like that, temples, wherever they wanted that curse to be heard or to take effect.
Were they typically targeted towards a particular person or a particular area? Do you know?
Well, with the Roman ones, it was thieves that they mainly did these for.
Oh, okay.
There was a specific god or goddess, Sulis Minerva, I think, might have been one of them. And you would put them on the curse, tell who you wanted cursed, and let them know that if your belongings were brought back because she helped, then those belongings would be dedicated to her for as long as they lasted. So,
Okay.
Now, some of the more interesting ones, some of these, and you got to understand, people are upset. So if they're putting down a curse, you've done something heinous to them. Some of the funniest ones that I found were one Roman tablet was trying to curse a horse so it would die, and they would actually win a bet on a race. Yeah. One called for the destruction of the person it was written about. And listen to this, because they wanted his body parts and internal and external organs to be destroyed slowly over time, so they couldn't figure out that they were actually cursed.
Ooh,
At
wow.
one point, the author asks that the recipient's sacred organ be destroyed so that he can no longer pee. I mean, it's some vindictive stuff in there.
Yeah.
They get upset. Yeah. Now, you start getting away from the real life, like the ones that are attached to sites and tablets and everything else. And you come into modern day, and we've got the Curse of the Hope Diamond, the Macbeth curse. You just can't say Macbeth. The Exorcist movie set curse, which was really good. Like people, like stuff catching fire and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Poltergeist are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Wow. It was like answering the question that I just mentioned before. And I don't know this soundboard well. I'm just poking random buttons on it.
Telling you.
Interesting.
Poltergeist
Okay.
curse, it hits all the buttons for me. Which, and as I've told you before, when I was 5, my mother decided that it was a good idea to let me watch Poltergeist. And for the next 3 days, I didn't sleep because I was too scared. And I swear every phobia I have today is that movie. I have to keep my closet closed. If it's open, I'm not sleeping in front of it. I will
think your
not sleep
mom-
around windows, especially if there's an old dead tree outside. That's asking for it. Don't ever do anything on sacred ground. Ever. If
Yeah.
Native Americans, natives, and indigenous people are involved, don't mess with that. It's cursed.
I think your
you're in
mom,
trouble.
your mom actually did a decent job only showing you Poltergeist, because I'm pretty sure I told you the story before that the first horror movie I saw at I was 5 or 6 was one called Happy Birthday to Me, which is essentially like a slasher film, where
Oh
at
my
the
gosh.
at the end of it, all the victims are sat around a table in all their various mutilated states. Yeah, and someone's parent, I believe it was my mom, might have been my grandma for some reason. I think my grandma went too. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah.
Maybe they
that
had
was-
a drink that night and thought it was a good idea. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they wanted to terrify me. I don't know. But yeah, Poltergeist.
Clowns?
Yes, I was just going to bring that up. Poltergeist, if it affected me in a few ways, which I don't want to jump ahead in terms of the actress that played Carol Ann, but just off the initial viewing, having a clown toy in your room, like if you were that age when you saw Poltergeist, you were super, super brave, because that scene was one of the most terrifying, where essentially there's this clown toy in her room that comes to life. And maybe, again, it was some aspect of my family trying to terrify me. But they had bought me a Ronald McDonald doll that he wasn't quite as, he was like half the size that I was at the time. But it was pretty big. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was almost 2 feet or so. And yeah, I thought my Ronald McDonald doll was mad at me because I had broken him at some point and he was missing a foot. And he had this weird feature where you could put a whistle in his mouth and squeeze his stomach and he would blow into the whistle.
Yeah.
But if you didn't do that and you just squeezed his stomach, this bizarre smell came out. Like he had this weird, I guess it was some type of cardboard midsection he had or something, but it was like this musty, weird smell that he had for breath. He was already scary. And then I saw Poltergeist and I was like, I don't think Ronald should be in the room anymore.
See, I wish Ronald was still here. He'd be part of the secret studio stuff.
Oh gosh.
You're like, no, he wouldn't.
I have actually looked, and the toys are still available, but I don't think I could. He also had a pocket with a little string that was sticking out of it, and if you pulled the string, a little tiny felt grimace popped up out of it.
That sounds so cute and
He was cute.
terrifying all at the same
Yeah,
time.
he was. That's exactly it. Cute and terrifying. All right, sorry, I took you completely off track, but I have to always talk about Ronald whenever I can.
No, I understand. Now, well, I have to gather myself here because I've got the movie running through my head, and
Are you sure? Now we all have the movie running through our heads. Okay.
I'm never going to forget this. I'm going to have bad dreams tonight. So Poltergeist came out June 4th of 1982, and the synopsis says that the Freelings, a middle-class family whose life is upturned when a number of paranormal and vicious events occur in their California home, and their daughter, Carol Ann, is abducted through her bedroom closet by a group of ghosts who are under the control of a monster demon called the Beast. Jesus.
That's a lot more than I would even understand about that movie. Like, I'm surprised that it has that.
Oh my gosh, even the synopsis, I'm like, what was my mother thinking?
Yeah.
One of the main points of this movie is that the house the Freelings live in this housing district, the whole housing district, all of it was built on Native American sacred burial grounds. Now, anyone who has read about it in real life or watched it in a movie, you can't do that.
Yeah.
They will get you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just don't even do that. And, if the movie wasn't scary enough, there were 4 cast members who died during and soon after the first and second films were made. And again, I know that these can be explained. I know Chris brought up Dominic Dunn, and I'm not saying that these occurrences are paranormal. I'm saying that it was almost like there was a miasma of badness around all of them when they filmed this movie, when they were involved in them.
Okay, and the most famous of those would be the little girl that played Carol Ann herself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Heather O'Rourke.
Yeah,
she was 12 years old.
Right, if I remember right, they were filming, was it the second one? And they weren't even done yet. And they had to use a body double. And there's some scenes where it's like super obvious because they're holding her and you only see the back of her head and stuff like that. She doesn't say anything. Yeah. But that was a disease, if I recall correctly. It was some type of...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she had been misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease in 1987. She fell ill, and that brought on the flu.
Yeah.
She collapsed one day and suffered from cardiac arrest at 12 years old.
Jeez.
When they did surgery to help her, they found that she had a bowel obstruction that had caused all of this. That was the misdiagnosis. It wasn't Crohn's, it was the bowel obstruction.
Oh, okay.
And she died because of it.
Terrible.
Then you've got Dominic Dunn.
Right.
She was the oldest daughter, Dana, in the movie. In 1982, which, the movie came out, she was separated from her partner. In November of that same year, he showed up at her house and started begging her to take him back. And when she refused, he choked her until she was unconscious and left her dying in her driveway, and she died there.
Oh,
because of it.
That is terrible.
It is. That's horrible domestic violence. Now, this guy got 6.5 years for killing her, and he only served 3 years and 7 months. That's like a kick to the teeth right there.
Unbelievable.
It's like it.
Yeah.
Then you have Julian Beck and William Sampson. That is Julian Beck, as we know him, as the preacher from the second movie, and there is the shaman, William Sampson. Now, Julian Beck's was expected. He was dying from cancer when the movie was being filmed, and that is what he passed away from. Okay. Will Sampson underwent heart and lung transplant surgery, which, most people don't make it through that anyway, and he passed.
Jeez.
So as sad as it is, it just seems to add to the bad luck that's surrounded by the movie. Now, Jo Beth, the woman who played the Mother Diane in Poltergeist, she in the first 2, actually. She wasn't after that.
Yeah.
She claims that Spielberg insisted on using actual skeletons for some of the scenes of the movie, especially the scene in what's supposed to be the pool area when the corpses and the bodies start coming up out of the water. Those are all real people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm split on that just because seeing this picture in particular, there's a lot of tissue that's still there. And
I mean, hopefully that's fake.
I would say it has to be fake because if you were that close to a real corpse in that state, I believe you would be vomiting. I don't think you could help it. You wouldn't be able to control yourself and try to get through a scene. The thing that I'm split on is there are stories of things that have been treated as props that have been later discovered to be actual body parts, and that's
yeah.
that's happened. So it wouldn't surprise me. And just, think about when they're making a movie or something like this, like they're going to warehouses where they've had stuff for decades, stored in these warehouses, and they're pulling it out, and they don't always know where those items originated from. So some possibility that something like that might have been on a set, I'm not put off by, but Spielberg in particular doing that intentionally to an actor, like I can't imagine that.
Well, and he didn't tell her until after the scene was filmed that she was filming it with actual corpses. And, well, I know that during this time, it was so expensive to use a plastic set of bones that in movies, more often than not, they would have an actual set of bones from a real person there that they would use. I know that was common practice for a while, but that's just not right.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm not sure.
And that's going to bring all kinds of bad luck to you. I don't care who you are. That's not good.
Yeah.
While filming Poltergeist 2, William Samson, let me get his name right. He deserves that. William Samson told Craig T. Nelson that he felt a malevolent presence on set, and he felt like it was affecting everyone and everything. So one night after filming, he went through the set and conducted an exorcism, and Craig says that after that, things calmed down.
Okay.
With the subject matter, I believe it.
Yeah. I have gone to, now, that I've been holding on to the fact that I'm not a skeptic, but I know when I need an answer on something, if I need a skeptical perspective, Snopes is pretty good with that, right?
Oh, Snopes is awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So, fact check. Were real skeletons used in the making of Poltergeist? True. It says it is true.
Because, that whole scene terrified her to begin with. So, yeah, let's wait until after and put the nail in that coffin.
Wow. This blows my mind. Special effects makeup artist Craig Reardon said under oath that the skeletons used for the scene were real.
Yeah.
In late 1982, he was deposed as part of a lawsuit filed against Spielberg by the screenwriters. The duo claimed that an Amblin employee acted as a ghostwriter who took portions of their own script and submitted them, blah, 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 blah. So there was a lawsuit that was around it. But basically, in his deposition, he said that was true. It seems like there's a little bit of debate, but ultimately the conclusion made by Snopes is true. Wow.
It's disturbing.
That is very disturbing.
And even when you start to move away from that, there's a couple of other instances that they include in the curse that happened way after. Like one person who worked on the production named Richard Lawson was on board Flight 405 when it crashed into Flushing Bay in March of 1992.
Okay.
27 people made it out of 51, and he was one of the survivors.
Is this him?
Now, that's not him.
Okay.
That is actually the next guy that I'm getting to.
Okay.
His name is Lou Perryman, and he actually played a small role in the movie as Pugsley, the first Poltergeist. So in 2009, a man broke in to his house and murdered him with an axe. And it was an ex-con that had just been released from prison. It's weird. You don't usually hear about all of these horrible things happening to people who have been on movies unless you get Poltergeist, The Exorcist, things like that.
That's true. Weird.
So yeah, I have just always felt, curses can be self-fulfilling, especially if you give them too much credence.
Yeah.
But I feel that the intent and the bad energy that a person puts into actually trying to curse you can have an effect on your life, whether you know about it or not.
Let's get a little insight from one of my favorite characters in this movie. Let's see what she has to say.
Now clear your mind. It knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning. Don't give it any help. It knows too much already. Now, open the door.
She is amazing.
It's so good. It is so scary.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh, goodness.
That's my presentation today.
Thank you so much. So we didn't really put the question as paranormal or not, but the way it's phrased, we could kind of assume magical is the paranormal one, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
Psychological.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you can change the wording if you need to. That was just what I came up with while I was doing the script.
Oh, it's fine. No, I think it's suited fine. And we put the question to the audience. 76% of them believe psychological. So I believe
Bum, bum, bum. I cursed the live stream, by the way, before we started.
Christy, don't curse the live stream. Oh, look. And now we're having that thing where the screen won't load again. You did curse the live stream. There we go. We're
There
back.
we go. I did.
Oh.
I had a feeling everyone would go that way, so you're just all cursed now. Thank you. You're welcome.
Don't say that. It is. I mean,
I do, though.
the psychological
I do.
component is super interesting because there is a lot to that. I mean, if you're gearing yourself for negativity and dealing with negative energy like that, like you're putting yourself in the realm of starting to see the world that way. And is it going to color your decisions and things that are happening to you? I certainly believe so. But outside of that, yeah, like the stories of violence that touch on this, and even the misdiagnosis with Heather, like there's a lot of extremely, it's not even bad luck. Like there is some dark negativity that is coming at those cast members. So definitely an interesting topic. Christy, thank you so much for your work on today's episode. We really appreciate you. And of course, we appreciate all of you that are here watching us. Please join us again next time. And until then, we'll catch you on the other side.